Hey, how's it going everybody? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to some more of In the Name of Jerusalem 2. This is a mod set during the Third Crusade, and as you guys can see, it is an absolutely complete overhaul of Bannerlord. The mod does such an amazing job of adding in so much new content with, of course, a new massive campaign map, new mechanics, lore-friendly units, armors, weapons, lords, custom scripts, completely new recruitment system, and the mod is ever evolving and improving. I am currently playing on a developer build, which I really appreciate, but because of that, it is slightly unstable. They are constantly updating and improving this version of the mod itself, and that does mean that I am unable to really continue my Byzantine playthrough that we've currently been doing. But don't worry, if you guys haven't seen any of them episodes, do not get scared, because in today's video, it's going to kind of be its own separate thing, but I wanted to kind of finish off that series so you guys aren't just left wondering when the next episode is coming. But in today, I thought I'd kind of do a little bit of a brief overview of the mod, take a look at a few of the mechanics. For those of you who are maybe a little bit newer to this and maybe haven't seen this mod before, haven't seen it in a little while, for those of you who are very familiar with the mod itself, and maybe even go in and take a look at some of the cool custom maps in a epic siege. First things first, right, let's dive into a small battle against 69 looters. I mean, it was too tempting not to, and just simply show off some of the beautiful looking armors and units that we do get access to as the Byzantines, as recruitment is completely different in this mod. You aren't just able to recruit every single unit that you find. You're only allowed to recruit from the settlements that you personally own and that of course are of your culture. This creates a really interesting dynamic because every faction then plays very specifically to their culture. A lot of the Bulgarians and the Serbians up here in the north of the map are very much focused in on that heavy cavalry and skirmisher gameplay. The Byzantines are all about that heavy infantry and cavalry. Saladin relies on his elite cavalry force and his lighter but more numerous infantry force. The Crusaders themselves rely very much on that kind of Byzantine-esque doctrine, elite cavalry, elite infantry, and it really is very noticeable. But yeah, it's honestly a super cool way of going about it, and also really good for when you are actually recruiting, because it means if you take all of a certain clan's settlements, they won't be able to then recruit any more soldiers, which then is a very cool way of actually like winning the war, because you're taking away settlements, so you're taking away recruitment pools. And again, you can see just how deadly cavalry is right here. Now, granted, cavalry is only this stronger with fighting looters, and I've got a pretty late game army at this point in the campaign. So you come up against a braced shield wall full of spears, then they are going to be able to withstand something like this a little bit better than, say, the looters who just get ran through, but much like they should. So let's go ahead and leave the north of Serbia, and we'll make our way over to the crusading states, or I guess what's actually left of them, because yeah, Saladin has taken absolutely zero prisoners here whatsoever. He's actually taken Jerusalem. Everything in this darkish, I guess, golden brown is Saladin, and everything in more of a reddish brown orange is the Crusaders. And you can see they have Jaffa left, and then maybe a castle in the south. So yeah, they've been ran over. And something actually really cool the modders want to implement, because there are tons of custom scripts in the mod already, but something that they want to do is when if Jerusalem does fall to Saladin, Richard will turn up, the Lionheart will turn up with reinforcements to try and turn the tide against the jihad that has been called on Jerusalem. And that's definitely something I am very much looking forward to. Another pretty cool mechanic as well in the mod is that your party, your army, your warband does actually get tired. And you can see it down here, party fatigue. So every single moment that you are moving on the campaign map, your party fatigue in the bottom left is slowly whittling down. Now, you can obviously get certain things to make this last longer, have better food, water, etc, but every army is going to need to rest at some point, and this creates a pretty interesting dynamic. It means that your armies can't just go endlessly on campaign. They are going to have to rest at some point and be vulnerable. And one of the really cool things about this is that the AI also has to deal with this mechanic, which then means that they also have to be vulnerable at certain times. So you can almost just like mirror an army, and it can only run for so long. Honestly, I've seen the AI do a pretty good job with this mechanic overall. They do tend to only really try and rest when they are safe, and also they tend to really only rest when they're in friendly territory. They'll always try, if they can, attempt to go back to friendly territory to actually implement that. So the mechanic itself isn't like super easily exploitable. We've just made it back to our settlement as well, so you guys can get a little idea about how recruitment works. So recruitment is completely different to vanilla. It's a lance recruitment, which is how they recruited historically, and basically you recruit types of units. So for example, I could recruit 3 of my lighter infantry, and these guys only stay at that rank. They don't develop into anything special. I could recruit 1 of my very elite infantry and also some cavalry. But once I recruit these guys, there's not going to be any more recruitments to come. I've recruited all the peasants from the land and drafted them into my army, so I am going to have to disband them at some point, maybe in peacetime, give them a little bit more time to build up, and I can only do that from my settlement, so I can't go to another. And you can see this lance has been absolutely ravaged by me previously, and it's only slowly coming back to power. So the soldiers you recruit are going to be, you know, important. You're going to have to try and keep them safe, not do anything too foolish, run into any close battles to build up. But yeah, as I mentioned, like, it does mean that you can't just go to random settlements and recruit, and that does, you know, suggests that when you're on campaign deep in enemy territory, your soldiers you have are the soldiers you have. This also make buying mercenaries really important because they're not tied to your settlement, and the Byzantines get some pretty big bonuses to their mercenaries, so it kind of does help to outweigh the lance recruitment. Okay, so now let's put this to the test. We've gone ahead and found one of Saladin's armies. Again, they are outnumbered like basically 2 to 1, and yet the balance of power is still not bad for them whatsoever. Basically, I want to kind of show them off in battle and kind of show off some more of the cool tactics you can actually do in this mod, which work out really well. Okay, so here we are on a proper battlefield with a proper army. This is, yeah, we've got 600 men. This is more likely what you're going to be seeing on the battlefield. And I've set my formation up in a pretty cool way. So we basically have 2 front lines, heavily made up of spears, and then a rear defensive line followed up by our archers and some supporting cavalry right there. Basically, the plan here is, because cavalry is just so strong in this mod, is when they smash into our front lines, they then have to kind of go through our secondary line, which will be able to take advantage of a reduction in momentum. And then whilst they're all doing that, they're being hammered by our archers in the back. So even if they do make it through our secondary line, they then have to deal with that. Okay, so we had a little bit of a scrap on the outskirts of the battlefield with Saladin's cavalry. We're trying to push it back as much as we can. And something that you actually probably notice quite a lot in these cavalry engagements is not only do you get a lot more couch lancing and the cavalry is way more effective, but also you knock people off their horses way more often, which actually creates a really interesting dynamic in battle, because all of a sudden your soldiers are now having to deal with that. They're having to deal with, you know, not having a horse, and they can get quite easily mopped up by the infantry engagements. So that's going to be going on the right flank, hopefully in our favor. Whilst that's going on, let's push up our own infantry as well. Try and make a little bit more of an impactful position here. Make sure our reserves are there and get our archers in a better position as well, I think. Our cavalry still on the left flank is doing fine. Their cavalry isn't moving, so it is simply a right cavalry lane engagement. Let's make sure we don't overextend, but I don't want to go deep in the enemy line. I wish there was a way just to like tamper your forces to make sure that they didn't do anything crazy like that. They didn't just go deep into enemy lines and overextend. But alas, Bannerlord is still Bannerlord, and this is something we do have to deal with. Okay, we are a little bit closer, which again is always decent because it does mean that we are, again, inches closer to the enemy formation getting stuck into our line. You can see our formation is actually already working really well. They're breaking through a little bit, but not massively. And look at that, yeah, and because we're positioned, look at this, we're positioned in a trench, so that really takes out the horse's maneuverability as well. Oh, I love that. Absolutely love that. We're going to have to form a shield wall, though, because the enemy missile lines are actually pretty damning right now. Cavalry is still chilling on both flanks, which is fine. Okay, let's push forward our main line there. We'll stick our secondary line here, and our reserve line can go just there. The archers can now move up a little bit, and the arrows can really start to fly from one side to another. They've engaged our cavalry on this right flank again. Let's go ahead and scare them off a little bit more. This will be really effective on the new 1.2 beta when that gets updated and the mod gets updated for that, because you'll be able to actually specifically target your cavalry to go after their cavalry and other stuff like that, which I think will be really, really useful. We just dismounted that guy as well. And look at all the smoke that gets kicked up as well in these battles. Really just create a very cool atmosphere. Okay, I think the cavalry on the other flank are about to engage now, so let's charge them, and we actually severely outnumber them on this flank, and it seems like they're going to be, ooh, my horse, we need to be very careful there. Seems like they're going to be going for our infantry line a little bit, but that's fine. We're in shield wall, we're braced, we should be able to deal with that. And as I said, anything that does break through this line will then have to deal with our secondary line, and you can see how effective that is. Look how much cavalry we're killing, and cavalry is expensive. I'm a big fan of this reserve line supported by our cavalry. We've even got a secondary cavalry line there as well supporting our archers. Okay, look at that. The archers are really hammering their position, and our cavalry cavalry is causing pretty big mayhem in that battle line. I want to edge maybe a little bit further forward. I don't want to go that further forward because I know the AI will probably charge down the hill at me very soon. But it's fine. We're set up in a very good situation where we can handle this. I'm not really too scared of their formation. Our archers are just flying shot after shot after shot into their formation. We need to get them off that hill, and I think our missile superiority is definitely doing that. Oh, the enemy formation is in tatters now. Okay, let's push up our main lines. We're going to go into the enemy cavalry charge, which we're stopping indefinitely. I love it. I love it. And now we can push in. Our archers doing incredible damage, and let's just push up our infantry. I think we can honestly get out of that shield wall now. We don't need to be defensive, and we can just get up here. I'm going to leave one line in a very kind of defensive formation, and we'll hold them here. The secondary line can wait. They can get into a scheme, which is much more of an aggressive formation, and then we're going to go like flying into that flank a little bit. Because this line should be holding now. Yeah, you guys hold. You guys hold. You guys on this flank, get ready. Okay, here we go. The infantry fight is happening. I mean, already we've smashed their formation, which is massive for us. But yeah, that infantry line is now holding. And then this secondary line can move in. Our reserves can get up here. I'm going to say, okay, this line's going to be really aggressive now. This line's going to be ultra aggressive as they push in. So we want our reserve line to like just basically back up here, get stuck in just behind the main engagement. You guys just hold, because that's going to be, yeah, our first line's going to be wrapping around, and then our reserve line can come in if units do start to dwindle. We're going to dismount as well, why not, and pull out our sword and actually get stuck into the melee. Okay, fierce melee now erupting. They're trying to use their weight of numbers just to break through here. We can actually bring them down. Actually, are they routing already? I think they might be routing. That is brutal if that is the case. Yeah, they are. Okay, let's pursue them. Reserve line. You can also go aggressive. It's good. We'll send everybody after them now. They have their archers on top of the hill, but yeah, the enemy is broken. And that's not bad. A 12-minute battle for what, like a 700-man engagement? I'm always love longer battles, so I'd like them to go even longer if I could make them. But I think this is a decent amount of time, honestly, for an engagement. People, you know, don't have all day to sit down on their computer like I do. And there we go, finishing up the battle in a glorious, glorious fashion, a heavy victory. Now that we've defeated one of Saladin's armies, now let's go siege one of the really cool new settlements in the mod. Well, I say that, but we have another battle on our hands, and this time they attacked us, so we can play really defensive here, really utilize our formation. I mean, there's still 500 of them, obviously, don't get me wrong. And of course, this time we've gone with a very similar formation as the sun is setting off there. We've kind of gone for a pincer formation, so the enemy can break their way through here, but then they're going to be met by our reserve line. We have archers behind them, cavalry defending our left flank, which I think should be really, really effective because they are mirrored by this like massive rock, so we can't get outflanked there. And then finally, on the extreme right, we have some more cavalry that will hopefully wrap around when we need them to. Oh, and it seems like this force has a whole wealth of pretty strong cavalry, so we're going to charge in right away. There's just pure horse archers. Let's charge in here, try and deal with the horse archers as much as possible. Whittling this force down will severely hamper their maneuverability, and you can see heavy cavalry charging into them is going to go very much in our favor. What we don't kill will dismount, and we can chase them off very effectively. So we want to try and kill as much as possible. The more of them we take down, the better. Let's pull back our cavalry, I think, once more, though. Maybe try and pick up a few more. Yeah, let's pull back our cavalry now. I think they've done a good enough job right there. Look at the smoke that's being kicked up as well. It's so atmospheric. They're just here again. Look how close they are to my formation. Let's give them another charge. We can't let them get this close. This is the annoying thing. Like, I really don't want the AI to go that deep into enemy lines, but we kind of have to charge them down. You know, if we want any hope whatsoever of whittling down this force, which we're doing, and now it'd be so cool to just be able to click a button and send them back to where they just were instead of having to do it. Because if I'm over the other side of the battlefield, it's hard to kind of do that all whilst I'm busy elsewhere as well. My main cavalry line has to charge now as their main cavalry line is charging. It's a real shame as well. I don't have a spear. My spear broke as I smashed into the enemy line. And now their cavalry is going to be able to do a decent job against mine. Going to be careful as well. We don't get run down. Going to probably have to send this cavalry into Saladin. I mean, Saladin's cavalry are really good, so it's always a little bit worrisome. I'm going to push them a little bit more to the flank on this side. Hope the left-hand side's doing okay. I think our infantry lines are going to... That infantry line is definitely going to have to form a shield wall. And this one's... Yeah, their cavalry's coming in now, so counter-charge now. Counter-charge. And let's see if our reinforcement line does work. No, it doesn't. No. Oh, they're breaking through. I thought we'd be doing way better against them. I mean, we are trading somewhat okay, I guess. Okay, this line has to reform them. This line has to reform. Do their best. Yeah, that was brutal. We lost a lot of men in that cavalry charge. I probably should have been braced and shield wall there. Our reserve line, I think, is already going to have to shift across and help out here. Yeah, reserve line come in to help reinforce. And that right flank is doing fine now. Now that we've kind of taken that initial charge, that's okay. We're going to reform here, though. I'm going to throw the reserve line in very aggressively into the enemy formation. No. Oh, best bet. Is that best bet leader? Kill him. Kill our leader. Get rid of a horse. Get rid of a horse. Get rid of a horse. Nice. And now the reserve line's going to kind of fill the gaps and deal with that outflank that's happening. Do we have any spears lying around? I'd very much like it. Also, make sure you kill that lord. Kill him. Nice. Taking him down. Perfect. My own cavalry should be charging. You can really get stuck in here. Make sure that we don't get caught down. Okay, the left flank is okay now. We've repelled their cavalry line. So just get over here. Get into line formation and just get your asses over here. I know you're a little bit vulnerable to the enemy infantry, but I need to outflank this before they can really reform. I like having that shield wall, and I like having that reserve line just doing absolute bits. We are still dealing with enemy cavalry, though, so just charge for a second. Do as much damage to them as possible. And get over here once again. We need to finish off the infantry. Oh, the enemy are coming again. The enemy cavalry are coming. So form a square now. Form a square. I'm really having to micro the crap out of this line. But we just need to deal with them. And I also need a spear. My kingdom for a literal spear right now would be amazing. We're winning the melee fight, though. Our reserve line came in clutch. Absolutely clutch. Yeah, that really saved the day. Oh, nice. And some of their units are even running. Yeah, okay. Now I think we have to go a bit more aggressive. So our shield wall line can advance now to help support the reinforcement line. That just came in so clutch. I love it when we do these maneuvers and they work off. It just goes to show that Bannerlord battles can be really fun when you actually do, like, implement really cool tactics. Perfect. That right flank is now fully pushing up on the enemy lines. I love to see it. Yeah, we're now in their archer line. Oh, that was a good battle. That was a really fun battle. I felt like our main line was crumbling, and we had to reinforce that initial cavalry charge. It was just a brutal. I wasn't braced. I wasn't in shield wall with that unit specifically, and I think I was moving a little bit as well, which of course really negatively affects your units. And there we have it. A glorious victory has now been won once again. Hopefully we have enough to actually take on the settlement now. We're even saving a ton of the Crusaders who are imprisoned, which is quite funny. A bunch of upgrades, but of course we know that upgrades aren't really a massive thing in this mod. Okay, I quickly teleported back, grabbed some more soldiers to come back here because I really want to show off this siege battle because the map is really, really cool. So here we are and look at it. It looks absolutely beautiful. We have like no siege equipment, so I think we're going to get slaughtered regardless. But yeah, the map itself, if we go into photo mode, because I actually don't have RTS camera on at the moment, we can take a quick look at the settlement itself. And yeah, I mean, just look at it. One of the things I would love to see actually improved, I think in Bannerlord sieges in general, is more attack points. It'd be so cool, especially with a settlement like this, to have like, you know, maybe two, three, four more ladders set up along here for a proper large scale assault. But I understand, and a lot of modders have told me that custom siege maps in like getting the AI to actually functionally work is absolutely insanely hard, and yeah, very, very difficult indeed. The actual gatehouse is super cool as well, and look at this. So when you break through the gate with a battering ram, you actually end up right here, which is part of the battlements over here, which is so cool. So you have like archers firing in as you're attacking the main gate. They're throwing in like boulders and flame pots and stuff. Is super, super cool. So let's just attempt to assault the settlement. I don't think we're gonna fare too well. Again, in Name Jerusalem 2, sieges are very difficult because of the way the armor is set up, because like spears are way more effective and can just like pierce from a longer distance. They don't get stuck on everything like they do in vanilla. It becomes a very, very difficult job to actually break the defenders, and because you just get like demolished when you attempt to even assault the enemy position. I'm actually going to charge up and just die so we can fully watch the battle and see how, you know, the AI does, how the settlement looks and stuff like here. I will try and take down as many of them as I can, though. But yeah, you can just like, look how many spears can hit me. In vanilla, that would not happen at all. Even from a distance, even like through the enemy gaps and stuff, like it just would not happen. So you can already start to see just like how much more effective them weapons are. Like they're actually able to work in tandem with one another, which I think is really, really cool. Like they're able to work as their support and ally very effectively. But yeah, now you can see the full siege, and it does just look absolutely great. Look at it. The men pouring up, defenders rushing. I also really love like this gate position as well with the artillery. Luckily, the artillery isn't actually that useful because the defenders can kind of get in the enemy face very quickly. And just the overall assault of the Southern Winners, yeah, this is really cool. Like, I can't wait to see more of these. This one's been in the mod for a little while now, but I know they are heavily working. And I imagine, again, I don't want to put words in the mouth of developers, but I imagine what they're planning on doing is having like a handful of very specific factions like Constantinople, Jerusalem, etc., and then having a much more, I guess, vast amount of, I guess, just not unique settlements, but just general settlements for the cultures to help fill out the amount of castles actually in the mod, because obviously the map is so big, so it is really scary. Now, can we also take a look as well as all the men pour up? Yeah, we can probably also now take a look at all the archers. So imagine if you did just break through this gate, you would immediately be met by arrow fire, crossbow fire, people throwing explosives at you as you try and smash down this main gate. It looks really cool as the rest of the soldiers do make their way up to try and defend. There's archers just hammering the defenders. Be cool to get some more archers maybe on like these roofs back here as well, if that's even possible. It's just super cool. And yeah, as I said, I would love to see them like maybe actually attack more of the outer layer as well. But yeah, I mean, what more could you want for a Crusader mod than this gloriousness? And yeah, if I had siege towers as well, you'd be able to see stuff like filled in. Really excited to see more of the equipment and maps and stuff that they can continue to add in, because yeah, I'm really excited. But yeah, I think that's gonna do it for today's video. I wanted just to show off a glimpse of this stuff, and I didn't want to leave you guys hanging from the end of the Crusader series, as I know a lot of people, you were enjoying that. I think definitely in the future we are going to do more like one-off series like I have been doing with the Old Realms recently. If that's something you guys want to see, please let me know, as that's really the only metric I have, is you guys telling me in the comments that yeah, we'd love to see a kind of one-off campaign where maybe I play for 5 hours and then just condense it into like a 30-minute video. That we'll get battles, we'll get sieges, we'll like advance, have a story and stuff like that. And we could really make some cool content with an idea like that. So please let me know. Likes, comments, they help out massively. Of course, check out the mod as well using the link down below in the description. I'll leave a link to their Discord where you can obviously keep up to date with it. Subscribe if you haven't already to the channel. I'll of course let you guys know the moment this mod is even hinted at being released. So think of me as like the beacons of Minas Tirith being lit. And yeah, massive shout out once again to the developers for letting me take a look at this dev build. Of course, it's being updated constantly, so it does make it harder to kind of do these longer format campaigns. But of course, that just means that the mod is just making really big progress every time that does happen. So I am definitely not complaining. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and I'll hopefully see you in the next one.